Hey, I'm Sasha. I'll be discussing the phenomenon of gifted children today. We'll be looking at what giftedness is, how to identify giftedness in your child, as well as motivation, underachievement, and identity of gifted children. We'll also talk about how parents can help their gifted children have success in school and in their everyday lives. So what is giftedness? The National Association for Gifted Children defines giftedness as those who have abilities that are higher than average for their age. These abilities are classified as intellect, creativity, artistic, academic, and leadership. Early identification of giftedness is incredibly important. This ensures that the children's gifts can be later turned into talents. Remember, though, that not all gifted children are the same. They are all unique. They learn, interact, and look completely different from one another. So one thing may work for one child, but not for the others. There are many signs to look for when you're trying to figure out if your child is gifted. The National Association for Gifted Children, NAGC, identifies that children can have large vocabularies and have complex sentence structures. They learn to read and write at an early age and have a love of problem solving, especially with puzzles and numbers. These kids can also be very alert, they're very spontaneous, and have a vast array of interest and curiosity. They put together thoughts quickly and have excellent memories. They have deep, intense feelings and reactions, and they're highly sensitive. Their thinking is abstract, complex, logical, and insightful. They also experience idealism and a sense of justice at an early age. There are a few other characteristics that your child can experience if they are identified as being gifted. Parents and teachers are two of the biggest resources and supporters of children with giftedness. Parents need to be able to identify whether their child is gifted to ensure that they are getting their best education possible. For example, giftedness can be identified through tests and assessments, as well as from the student's records, teacher observation, portfolios, and performance. Underachievement is one important topic to focus on when it comes to giftedness. Underachievement is defined as a discrepancy between ability and achievement. This basically means that though these children have the ability to do whatever is at hand, they don't always achieve. Gifted children largely underachieve due to numerous reasons, though one of the biggest is due to boredom and a lack of motivation. These children don't find interest or find that these subjects are too easy for them and they get bored way too quick, which then can cause a tendency to slack off in class. Gifted children can also be gifted in non-academic areas such as sports or art, which can cause an interest conflict in academics. They may focus more on their energy or whatever their interest is rather than the academics at hand. Underachievement can also be identified through IQ testing like the ISC-3 and the Stanford-Binet 5. However, these are not always very reliable and they can vary from states and districts. Motivation is another large area to focus on when it comes to gifted children. Motivation is basically what drives the child to succeed. There are four types of motivation: integration, identification, introjection, and external forms of eccentric motivation. According to Garn 2010, integration is defined as engaging in behavior because it is embedded in one's value system, contingent on an external reward. This basically means the child works for praise and reward from teachers and parents. Identification is characterized as engaging in behavior because it is deemed personally important on an external reward. The child basically finds reward in oneself and can help boost self-esteem and confidence. Introjection consists of engaging in behavior either for reasons not fully accepted as one's own or for social approval. This means the child is motivated through peer pressure or one wanting to please others rather than one's own self. External motivation describes engaging in behavior to satisfy an external demand. This is motivation that pushes for either a reward or a punishment. Parents can help motivate their gifted child through a handful of ways. Scaffolding is one way parents can help. This is basically reconstructing their home learning environment and making it more nurturing. Parents can also help develop the acceptance of new ideals, attitudes, and beliefs, as well as relate homework to the child's interests or making the game out of it to help keep things interesting. One thing to always keep in mind, though, is motivation is not always about achievement. A child can be achieving but not be motivated, or vice versa. Identity is made up of four constructs. These include validation, affirmation, affiliation, and affinity. Validation is the first construct. It is on a personal level and by definition is the recognition or affirmation that their feelings are valid or worthwhile. Giftedness can be validated through identification by academic gifted program, acknowledgement of one's giftedness by a significant other, and or by coming to one's own realization through expectational accomplishments. Keep in mind that this form of validation may limit how it validates a person. Affirmation is the second construct, and just as important. This construct is made up of moral support or encouragement from others and self about who we are as individuals. The gifted individual who is aided in exploring giftedness from the aspect of family of origin will be able to begin a healthier differentiation of self and enable the self to integrate its giftedness more fully. Thirdly, affiliation is who we associate with, like those who have similar interests and abilities as we do. This is an issue, though, as there are normally not many children who have the same abilities as they do. So affiliation can deem difficult for the gifted child. It is important for teachers and parents to ensure this is done on a micro level to account for different abilities. Lastly, we have affinity. Affinity is connecting oneself to the world. It is the drive these children have. Without affinity, they will not have success or know who they are. These four constructs, validation, affirmation, affiliation, affinity, represent important building blocks in development of the self. Parents have many ways they can help from home. Being attentive to your child's needs, they can create a welcoming and engaging learning environment, encourage the development of new skills and interests, as well as an exploration and discovery. Parents need to emphasize effort and progress rather than perfection, and that errors can be something to learn from. Parents can also provide examples of ways to address setbacks and problems and understand and regulate emotional reactions. Parents can also get their children involved in outside programs, specifically for children with giftedness. These programs can include mentorships, activities and outside courses, college and university-based courses, and other group activities outside of school. Most of these can nurture talent, but also friendships and build lifelong skills. Parents also need to understand that they need to advocate for their child at school. Being able to communicate closely to your child's teacher is important, as well as the necessity to ensure your child is in the correct placement. Parents can also keep portfolios, records, and an array of other things to help reflect the child's skill. Joining a support group with other parents with other gifted children is also a high recommendation. Not only is it nice to be able to communicate with others who are going through similar things as you have that added support from those other parents. All of these are important for these children to succeed and have healthy home lives with supportive parents. These children are our future. It is so important that these children live up to their full potential. There is so much support out there to ensure that these children do. Without that support, these children wouldn't be able to live up to that full potential. Giftedness is also an important aspect for everyone to look into. These children are so misunderstood, and from that, people just look at it as these children are smart and they don't need help. They can do it themselves. These kids need every bit of extra help and motivation as anyone else to ensure success. I found this quote from an article I really enjoyed. The love parents give should be without strings, not dependent on achievement. Learn from your child. Don't send them out to name flowers. Go with them. Discover things together. This is particularly important in the early years. It's much more effective to learn with them. I've included a few additional resources for parents to take a look at. I'll include those links in the description bar. Thank you for taking the time to review my presentation, and I hope that you have found this information interesting as well as supportive to helping children with giftedness succeed.